Hey everybody, this edition of Lionheart Radio is brought to you by the world's first creatine coffee. Each scoop is a full cup of a Colombian Arabica bean coffee infused with 5 grams of a creatine monohydrate. Now here's the deal, guys. A lot of people have differing opinions about creatine, and unfortunately a lot of really shitty supplement companies have tried to sell it to kids that want to get big, and they package it as some kind of steroid alternative, and they tell you if you cycle it and if you stack it, then you'll gain a bunch of muscle mass. And at the end of the day, none of that is true. What is true is that it's one of the most studied and beneficial supplements on the market for strength, recovery, and endurance. So whether you're a runner, whether you are a strength athlete, or whether you're somebody that wants to enhance cognitive function and just feel healthier in everyday life, a pharmaceutical-grade creatine monohydrate is going to help get you there. Go to www.creatinecoffee.com to learn what all the hype is about. And now, on to the show. All right, welcome back to Lionheart Radio. I'm your host, Rick Alexander, founder of Lou Aviv, based in San Diego, California. And today I'm here with Claudia.
Hi guys, Claudia Challoner, Doctor of Physical Therapy and nationally ranked powerlifter.
And today we are joined by Nicole Zapoli, who is a CrossFit coach, a gymnastics coach, and the founder of Nicole Zapoli Fitness. Thanks for being on today.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So why don't we kind of start from the beginning? I know you have a very eclectic background, especially when it comes to CrossFit and gymnastics. So why don't we start from the beginning and kind of talk about like where your fitness journey began?
Oh man, my fitness journey back like way when I was a baby. For as long as I can remember, I've been a part of who I am. I can't remember the last time that I didn't go, at least a week without training consistently or doing something physically active. But when I was the 2 different times throughout my childhood when I was growing up that really stand out to me, one when I was in 3rd grade and on career day we were supposed to dress up like what we wanted to be when we grew up, and I dressed up as a gymnastics coach.
Really?
And said I was going to own a gym. And then carrying that forward onto middle school when I got to train at the Olympic Training Center, and we had to attend nutrition courses or a nutrition class when we were there, and that was when pretty much I've shared this quite a bit, but that was when my eyes were opened to the fact that life is bigger than competing, bigger than gymnastics. There were a lot of girls that I competed with and were on a team with that had and struggled with eating disorders, which really broke my heart and made me really sad because I wanted to help them, and and I didn't, and I didn't know how. And I remember thinking like that was my purpose. I knew that I was supposed to be doing something fitness related, nutrition, health and fitness, whatever it was, but that was where my heart was being pulled towards. And so
yeah, I feel like we need to take a moment and acknowledge the fact that you wanted to do something in 3rd grade and you're actually doing it, because that's fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like I think Rockstar was mine, but I don't know. But the fact that you just nailed it, like, I don't know what that says, but it's awesome. So the Olympic Training Center, you started seeing the struggles that people were going through in their pursuit of health and fitness. And that's something that I think society does a lot, is we look at health and fitness and wellness as the same thing. And they're not necessarily always, if you're training to be really good at something, you're not necessarily healthy. Would you agree with that? Like a lot of times,
100%.
you're doing whatever you have to do to
win,
increase your performance. So
right.
that is.
Right. And you can get into like performance enhancing drugs. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could get into that will make you a much better athlete that won't necessarily make you fitter.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people in the population, they look at some of these people that look fit, they look shredded, and they have these muscles, and they're posing for these fitness magazines and whatnot, but they're inside they could be the most unhealthy person, and and that's the struggle, I think,
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think bodybuilding's probably like the epicenter of that, right?
It's tough.
The look healthy and actually you're not at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not always kind of a broad brush to paint people with, but you know, it's definitely something that I see a lot, just like working in and around the fitness industry, as you see the difference there, and people on the outside who maybe don't work out, they don't know what it's like to train, you know, they don't always necessarily see that, you know, there's a difference there.
Yeah.
So going into college, did you compete in gymnastics? How high did you compete?
I competed, so I did artistic and rhythmic gymnastics. I did rhythmic gymnastics up until middle of high school, towards I think it was my sophomore year. And I was trying to do both that and competitive cheerleading, which is what I switched to, and never thought I would ever do cheerleading, and decided to go ahead and go for it, and it was awesome.
So you switched to competitive gymnastics? Competitive cheerleading?
Yeah.
And so like tumbling and the whole deal?
Mm-hmm.
I had a girlfriend that did that in high school, and it is not a joke. It's
Yeah,
like a whole sport in itself.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to do it unless, and then I saw their coach at the time, the year before, when I was thinking about it, because a friend of mine lived on the street 2 doors down, and she was a cheerleader, and she's like, you should try out. It's like, I don't know. And then they won nationals, and I'm like, maybe. So what do y'all do? And they had, their coach was, I guess, former military, and made them run a bunch and do a ton of conditioning and like weightlifting training. And I was like, this actually sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
So that was.
So did you cheer in college, or like what, or did you do competitive cheerleading through that?
Yeah, I did it for 3 years throughout high school.
Okay.
Yeah. My eyes were totally open to that too, because I always had, stereotype of what a cheerleader, what you think of when you think of cheerleader, and I'm like, these girls are awesome. And cheerleading is awesome. But I just competed those 3 years. And then after, I did professional cheerleading and dance for a while.
Was that for the NBA?
For both, yeah, I did NFL, and then I did the NBA.
Okay.
What
teams?
Yeah, what teams?
The Houston Texans.
Okay.
And the Houston Rockets.
Okay.
What was that experience like?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're paid completely full time, like people make a living off just being a cheerleader?
No.
Okay.
No, definitely not. You're paid minimum wage.
Okay.
You definitely don't do it for the money.
Okay. Yeah.
It's more of just, it's your passion. I would say, well, especially when I was on team, it was a good majority were coaches and teachers and, dance teachers or dance studios or whatever, it's their life and it's what they grew up doing, and it was part of who they are, and just an honor to be able to do something like that. It definitely didn't make a whole lot of money, but the experience was amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. And going back to the stuff that you experienced with gymnastics when you were younger, did you see some of that same carryover with the nutrition piece and the eating disorder carrying up into that type of level? Or
so for sure. Yeah, actually, they'll put you on probation if they never weighed us, but if our coach for either team thought that we were not doing part of it was that you needed to maintain level of fitness and be, you have to wear a uniform.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be able to keep up your outside too. So yeah, it would put you on probation if they didn't think that you were fit to be out there in the uniform representing the team. And so I think, and that didn't happen very often, but I know that it was probably a big struggle for girls, but for the most part, they ate so much, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It was way different from when I was in gymnastics. It was a transition from being in rhythmic gymnastics to competitive cheerleading. That how it was so difference was so crazy as far as our coach would go through our bags or want to, you know, make sure that we didn't have any extra stuff while we were at meets or just
like food.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
This was when you were at gymnastics.
This was rhythmic gymnastics.
Okay.
But then in cheerleading, I remember after our first game or something, we were on our way back and we all stopped at a place to go get burgers. And I'm like, is this okay?
Yeah.
This is happening.
Yeah.
So it was a huge difference there. And then as far as in professional, I remember I would hear girls say, oh, I didn't eat for the last 2 days for this photo shoot or whatever. And you know, you stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, gosh, that's a bummer. Because you shouldn't feel that way. You should never have to feel like you've got to be able to, I don't know. It's just
look a certain way.
There
pressure.
And so that, you know, making sure that, and no, life's not perfect at all, but trying to always manage a balance. And it's definitely, you know, certain times in your life is way harder to do. Mm-hmm. But when obviously like true health and fitness goes way deeper than just skin deep. But when that is at the foundation, stuff like that shouldn't have to be happening.
Is there a diet that's like, I guess, common within gymnastics? For example, CrossFit like really adopts the paleo diet. Is there anything like, is there a certain way that gymnasts typically eat, or is that not really a thing?
I remember eating a ton of power bars.
Really?
But no, I think it varies. It's probably way different now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think nutrition and the awareness now that is, you know, that just the gymnastics community has is way different than it was when I was growing up.
Yeah.
For the better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, fitness has evolved.
Yeah.
The whole
Totally.
conversation has evolved, I think.
Yeah.
But gymnastics is interesting because it seems like, and no experience at all, other than handstand push-ups, which I hate. It seems like you have to find the perfect ratio of power to body weight in order to be like really successful.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like diet would be something that was like really maintained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm sure back then it was more just like keep your weight manageable.
Yeah.
Perform.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So then moving on, you got into the CrossFit gymnastics staff.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was awesome.
Go around teaching gymnastics and that's it?
Yeah. There's a team of us and we would get to go to gyms all over the US and around the world.
Yeah.
And be able to coach coaches, which was awesome, super fun. And I think I probably learned way more than just you just learn so much more when you're teaching and you're coaching. And so just the many different people that I was able to have the opportunity to work with, you get to see and learn how people learn and see things so differently than you. So as far as being able to coach, I think that was huge in making me a much better person and better coach, and just that whole experience. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, that's fitness, but that's anything. If you coach it, your level of understanding grows as you have to try to figure out a way to teach it to somebody else.
Everyone's going to learn on a different cue, or there might be more tactile cue or verbal. They might need to see it. Yeah. So everyone's going to be a little different. So you definitely need to have a bag of tricks. And it's always nice when you can get together with a team and learn other
tools. Teaching with other coaches is huge because you learn so much from them, and it's just like, you know, and you're able to pick up just tools. Tools for the toolbox.
Yeah. For CrossFitters that are struggling with the gymnastics like aspect of CrossFit, What do you suggest? Because I know there's like Power Monkey, right?
Mhm.
I like how there's a lot of different people. Like, is there anything that you, as a resource, that you suggest people go check out, like to specifically get better at gymnastics?
Anybody that's teaching like any of them, you can't do it unless it's something that you're actually truly passionate about.
Right.
So, I mean, just the more the merrier. So,
Yeah.
just pick something and go, because you're only going to benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
You're going to gain something. And, being able to learn from multiple different teachers and coaches is there are elephants up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only going to make you better and help you understand movement that much more.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel is the biggest, I guess, the struggle that most CrossFitters have with gymnastic movements?
I think initially, especially if it does not come naturally, I think it's more of, it could definitely be more from pride of just like, well,
like not wanting to do the progressions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Actually realizing the difficulty
but
of it.
then once, and I think like, or not, maybe just not maybe totally being completely aware of how much it would benefit everything else that they do in the gym and out of the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think once they come to that realization, then.
Are you doing gymnastics with Nicole Zapoli Fitness? Is it a gymnastics focus?
That is my background,
mm-hmm.
and I guess you could say that would be what I specialize in. But my coaching background is actually very wide range. So from I trained powerlifting for 2 years, and
that's
then
how we kind of
started
dabbling together in powerlifting together.
Yeah, I would say, because when I started CrossFit, I'm like, this is so awesome. There's all these different things, and gymnastics was the thing that definitely drew me to the whole thing. And I don't know, something about how painful it was. I was like, this is awesome. But the gymnastics aspect of being able to train and be an adult and still be able to train like
for
sure.
Kid. And then all of the different things like Olympic lifting did not come. I mean, I got it, but it was definitely something that frustrated me to the point that I wanted to understand it. I wanted to get better at it. And I wanted, so that I don't understand it. Not, why can't I, all those little tiny things. And it's just like learning, someone that maybe has never done gymnastics or doesn't pick up, and it's awesome because that challenge, I think, is what we all kind of crave, mentally and physically challenging aspects of what make up CrossFit itself, but then all of the different specialized sports within CrossFit that CrossFit kind of brings together. And so I want to learn powerlifting. I want to learn Olympic weightlifting. I want to do.
That's one of the things I like about CrossFit too, though, is when I found it, I was like, God, I feel like I'm like, we play sports. A lot of us play sports growing up, but then after high school or maybe college, if you were good, and after that, you really aren't exposed to that anymore, and you stop training for something.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of people just don't even like to work out in general, is because you're just spinning on a treadmill and you have no purpose. And when I found CrossFit, it was now I'm I'm taping my wrists up again, but that was before we had wrist wraps and shit in CrossFit. So I'm man, I feel like I'm training lacrosse practice or something.
It's exciting.
Again.
It's fun, and it makes it's hard. It's probably I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I thought I was in shape, and definitely not. And there were so many different aspects to it that you're constantly being challenged or forced to do something that you're not awesome at, or maybe you are really awesome at it. And then being able to set those small goals,
Mm-hmm.
be able to continue to watch yourself move forward and progress. Because before that, I did a triathlon, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do a marathon.
Yeah.
And I did a marathon, and I'm like, I don't ever want to do that again. Now what do I do?
What marathon did you run?
The Chevron Houston Marathon.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
And you've also competed in powerlifting and weightlifting, right?
Yeah.
Olympic weightlifting?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you break a bench record or something?
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't remember which one it was. I thought it was
Yeah.
bench.
What
but-
was the record?
My competition record was 142,
What body weight?
105.
So 142-pound bench,
Yeah.
105 body weight.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Big deal.
So I think that what's great is people that might be interested in taking you on as a coach. And do you coach mostly CrossFitters, or is it all CrossFitters?
Yes, it's they're all CrossFitters.
Mhm.
I do both. I do some I'm doing their full programming, and some I do just their gymnastics programming.
Okay.
It's just kind of whatever they're looking for,
Their needs are.
whatever their
Yeah.
goals are.
Okay,
Yeah.
so is it templated programming, or do you take clients and like specifically program for them?
I specifically program for my individual clients, my remote clients. But I do have programs that I've created
Mm-hmm.
that are basic. It's a lower price point, but they're there. And so depending on wherever they're at and whatever their goals are, I am.
You have something depending on what, whatever their need is.
Yes.
So the good thing about that, I think, is the fact that you have a very, like, that eclectic background. I just can't say enough about how good that is for a coach to have, because you've struggled through the hours that it takes to run a marathon. Like, you've actually like been there and you know what it's like. So when people are having, because CrossFit is it demands so many different disciplines, and it demands you to be good at so many different disciplines that, strong people can have trouble with endurance. People with good endurance can have trouble with strength. And, like, I came from a strongman background, so like ring muscle ups were the fucking worst. You know what I mean? But since you know what it's like to be strong, and you know what it's like to be able to do muscle ups, for people that are looking for coaching, like, you can't even put a price on that value and being able to talk from all of those different angles.
Yeah. And I feel like with CrossFit, a lot of people do struggle with that gymnastics piece, but once they kind of understand more of that gymnastics piece, I feel like that does help. Like you were saying before, it does help with the Olympic lifting. Just I think it brings more of like that core stability and whatnot, and body awareness.
Yeah.
For transitioning into their other stuff in CrossFit or whatever else they're doing. So,
Yeah. And do you do nutrition as well?
Yes, I do basic nutrition coaching and accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I am working with a registered dietitian. I'm a certified nutrition coach, but
Okay.
I definitely know the difference between, what she has to offer is way more than I could ever, her knowledge in that area. And so we've been kind of collaborating and working on putting some stuff together so that I can help, create an even better program and offering for clients.
Oh, great.
Is there a diet that you like prescribe to, or like a?
No, I think everybody's so different and everybody has such different needs
Mhm.
that it just is, as far as the one thing that, however you eat, it needs to come from a place of that healthy relationship with you and food, enjoying eating, and also, it needs to be able to be something that you can sustain and something that is, that you can make part of your lifestyle and not something that you're going to do for 3-4 weeks and then like
Yeah.
I think that's
woo,
important
I
too.
made it through and now I'm going to go, I don't know. But, everybody finds something that, as long as, I think consistency is huge. Planning out special treats is important depending on, you have to know yourself too. And I personally like to have like some treats throughout the week and that kind of thing. And I did have a coach create like a little sample meal plan thing with my macros and all of that, but I don't necessarily measure macros at this time. I just eyeball it based off of but I am not competitively training for anything at the moment, and so my needs are completely different than someone that would be, training to hit like world records and stuff. But it just kind of depends, and it depends what your goals are, but the biggest thing is just having a healthy relationship with food and actually enjoying your food. So if you choose to, if you're gonna eat something, eat it and enjoy it, and don't whine about it after. like don't beat yourself up about the fact that you enjoyed whatever it was that you decided to
whole
eat.
bar of dark chocolate.
I mean, at least it's dark chocolate.
I'm all about that dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate's good for you, right?
So how do you go about changing somebody's relationship with food then like that?
It's a journey, and if I think CrossFit, I keep talking about it, but it is awesome because it does take the focus off of, a lot of times when people do start training, it's usually most of the time it's something that's so much deeper, and then what's going on the physical outside. They'll say, I want to lose weight or I want to do this, but really what's going on. And so finding out what their true reason is, why they're seeking to live a healthier life, why are they moving in that direction, what is fueling that, and that's not easy to figure out, but it's something that us as coaches, just being aware of that first of all, and then being there to support them through their journey, and whatever it may be, and it's all self-discovery. And so as they go, allowing them a safe place to be able to feel free to share and be open with what they're dealing with, and their own weaknesses in nutrition or whatever it may be, and so that they can, a lot of times, until they actually say whatever it is out loud, they probably, it's just in there and they can And so being able to say it out loud and feel like they've got someone they can trust to be able to do that, and someone that's going to be with them through that whole journey, or part of their journey, is super powerful, I think, for changing that whole mindset. And no food is bad food. I think that it's there's bad food, but it's all about balance, moderation, and learning how to enjoy it in a healthy way, and that kind of thing. But that, again, depending on what they're, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, you do a decent amount of fitness modeling as well, right?
I have, yes.
Okay. I feel like the pressure in that has got to be even more than probably like CrossFit or something like gymnastics or whatever. Like Instagram is such, it's like changed the game, I think, for fitness modeling. It's made it really crowded, and everyone's a fitness model if they have if they can take a selfie. But I feel like it must have created a lot more demand for body image and for people to probably have an unhealthy relationship with food and that kind of a thing.
I hope not. I hope the positive has been overshadows the all of that negative stuff, just because I think there's so much good out there, of fitness models that are hopefully empowering other women, rather than making them feel anything other than than awesome. But at least that's what I hope.
Right. Well, and I think that's probably true as well. Like, you've definitely seen it. I've probably talked about it too much on the show, but I think Greg Glassman, founder of CrossFit, was on Lewis House podcast, The School of Greatness. And Lewis asked him, like, what are you the most proud of? Because, you know, CrossFit's this huge economy. It's $4 billion economy. This like giant of a company now. And I just thought what he said was really cool. He was like, well, I'm most proud of the fact that I've changed how women view fitness, like, and how the world views women within fitness specifically, because now it's a lot more popular for women to be strong. Like we've talked about this on here on the show before. And I think it's becoming so popular for women to be focused on fitness. No worries. He has made it popular for women to be focused on results, right? And then performance, and then body image has kind of changed based on that.
Yeah. I remember when I started and I'm like, I can't wait to power clean 95 pounds.
Yeah.
And, you know, and as far as it becomes super exciting and fun. And I was never, I personally was not like, I didn't obsess over stuff, but I know that is a huge battle. And the most awesome part of what CrossFit that is offers, well, for women especially, is taking the focus off of that and placing it on what can you do.
Right.
And look at how much you've improved, like, you know, at making sure that, you know, you're keeping track of your numbers on, you know, your in your training and not
your calories.
I mean, the metric
calories.
changed from like weight on the scale to like weight on the bar, essentially.
Yeah.
And like you see more women are eating for performance, you know, and it's not like, oh, how many calories is this or whatever. I mean, there's still, you know, women and men doing that, but I feel like it's more like, okay, how is this, whatever I'm putting in my body, how is this going to help me perform better at the gym or with life? There's more of a connection there, which is fantastic.
Which creates a much healthier relationship with food.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
And what I like too is like if you're a guy and you are I don't know, I've just seen this within like my own circle or whatever growing up as CrossFit's grown. It's like now there's a thing where it's like if you're a guy and it's like you would prefer a woman that's not strong. It's like, what is wrong with you that you don't want, right? And it's like I just like how that whole conversation has shifted over the years, you know what I mean?
And so empowering for women. It's awesome. I remember, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before on the show, but like in junior high and middle school and stuff, I got made fun of because people call me like thunder thighs, and I was like always so self-conscious about my like muscular build because I've always been somewhat muscular. But now I'm like, you know, screw that. I was like, I can squat more than them now. So, So it's like awesome. It's just giving an avenue for these women to like be strong and be powerful and own it.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome.
And it's cool too on your social media specifically. It seems like that's like a common theme that you have, which is like trying to, you know, kind of like empower other women that are on that journey.
Yeah.
At the same time. Go ahead.
What
is your Powered by True Grit? I keep seeing that come up, and it seems like it's along these lines.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. It's kind of the heart and soul of a lot of things that I personally have kind of my journey has led me through, and kind of just an outlet there and stuff that, you know, thinking of, okay, what would, when I, you know, 20 years ago or 15 years ago, what I would have told myself then, and or what, you know, basically just coming from a place of being super vulnerable and in a lot of pain, and then not allowing it to hold you back, but allowing that pain and all of that to kind of push you forward, and how powerful that can be. And then there's 3 other ladies. One that I mentioned, her name is Haley Kosh, and she's a registered dietitian. And then there's Colleen, and she specializes in postpartum and prenatal fitness for ladies. And And then Taylor Drescher, she's a games athlete and U.S. Marine and is completely amazing. And she does remote coaching as well. Hers is focused on military and law enforcement, women that are looking to get into that.
And you guys just started this, right?
Yes.
So you're just starting creating this brand. So what are you kind of hoping in the future for this?
Yeah, we did a workshop. We did a women's workshop in February, and just combining everything that we bring to the table. So everything that we, our backgrounds, our specialties, and just the fact that we're ladies, and just wanted to create a community and build a community of women that allowing fitness and nutrition and everything that's good in life to bring us together, and then just kind of see where it goes from there. But
so are you guys going to be hosting more workshops like the one that
we would like to. There's a lot of transition at the moment. Taylor's getting married and moving to the East Coast in like a month. So that's happening, and we're just kind of seeing where it goes. We did a few podcasts we started recording in February, and so we'll see.
Cool. That's exciting.
It is exciting. It's pretty awesome. It's everything that it stands for is like my whole heart. And
So when you do these seminars for the women's seminar that you referenced, what are women getting out of that? Like, what are you hoping?
So it started out, we were going to do, like, it was a faith and fitness workshop. And so bringing together women from around the community and doing a 3-part workshop with gymnastics, endurance, weightlifting, and nutrition.
Nice.
And then Colleen was there throughout, just for anyone that is, if anybody wanted to participate that was pregnant or just had a baby or, in there. So she was there. And then we did breakout sessions, just talking about the focus on this past workshop was resilience and just overcoming obstacles. And so we had discussion questions that we answered on our own, and then we talked about it together and how we dealt through, just however we can share our own experiences to help others.
So like a community, like a supportive, like community type feel to it, aspect, it seems like.
That's great. Love it.
So when you mentioned you did gymnastics, strength, endurance, is that it? Was that them all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nutrition.
Nutrition. Okay. And what was your approach in that? Are you looking at each of those being a different puzzle piece or a different piece to the same puzzle, and creating wellness, or like what is kind of your approach to fitness when it comes to these?
To these workshops?
Yeah.
So just the biggest focus would be empowering women, bringing people together, bringing other women together, creating that community of, that safe place. And then from there, fitness is just fun.
Right.
So being able to move and have fun and learn stuff, and, there's a lot of bonding that can happen when, when you're moving and you're sharing and there's so much taking stuff that we're passionate about and then taking it a step further and diving into the heart and getting deeper than just what. Nice.
Yeah, for sure. I think I find it interesting. I like that. That's another kind of evolution of the fitness conversation is, and we touched on this a little bit in an earlier interview today, actually, which is like the fact that it's all like, I think it was Teresa that was talking about like mind, body, spirit connection.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go for it.
I left that out. I forgot. We did a bonfire after, and Teresa was a guest speaker.
Oh, she was?
She shared her story. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Full circle for us today.
Yeah, it is. This is our third interview today, and I'm like losing track of what is what. But no, just I think it's cool that conversation is taking place, which is like fitness isn't just go to the gym and work out. Or even if you're training, it's not just go train for something. There is that whole like spiritual connection. There's the, you know, the cognitive connection. There's like all these different pieces that go into the conversation. And what's cool about things like this seminar, and I think that the number one thing that people can do for themselves is like simply to take an interest in it for themselves. Take an interest in their journey and their
it's like, well, investing in themselves,
right,
which is only going to make everything else that much better
for sure. So you have like a lot of followers on social media, like you've been successful there. What and you've built these businesses, and you've been like very accomplished in what you've tried to do. Like, what is the number one thing that you want people to kind of take away from your brand and what you're doing with everything?
I want nothing more than to help people live stronger, healthier, happier lives. But to do that, I want to, more than anything, I want to be able to empower them, help them. A lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with their physical ability, but it's deep. And so being able to live and be bold enough to live their passion, and whatever that is, I want to be able to help spur people on to take action in their own lives to do that.
And when you say deep, you mean like, what do you mean?
That you've got to be able to live your life on a much deeper level than just surface. But, you know, as far as if you are not passionate about what you're doing, or know deep down that what you are doing is making a difference, then that's going to be a total bummer of life.
Yeah.
So
for sure,
live out your passion and helping others, making a difference in someone else's life or in other, you know, whatever you're doing. I think there's so much power in that, rather than, you know, you're doing something either because you don't know what to do or because you felt like it was what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, totally.
And
so that's something, though, it's a lot easier said than done. Like people they experience things or they get down this path or these tracks because they think that was the right direction for their life.
Yeah.
And so, like, what do you say to these people that are down these paths that are
you've
not?
You've got to stay connected with who you are. And that only happens through painful things that take us on certain paths to help reveal even grander, bigger things that, you know, we would have never known about who we are or how much greater our purpose is unless we had gone through certain things.
Yeah.
And so, but making sure that you're consistently checking in and taking time for yourself and, you know, reflecting and allowing yourself to grow and giving, you know, making sure that you're surrounding, I know, you know, the people and your environment that you choose to be in is huge. It makes a huge impact on your quality of life and who you become. And so that's a big one.
Yeah. Yesterday I did a podcast with Gracie Davis, the owner of California Elite Training Center, and she like referenced rock bottom. Like a lot of people, they seem to have that like rock bottom moment or something where something is like very traumatic, or something just comes, the track comes way, or the train comes way off the tracks, and then they're like, and that's like an aha moment and a time for them to spur into something else and to move in a different direction. But I think too, there's a lot of people that are just kind of unhappy. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing major, like maybe their relationships are okay. Like maybe their job is like, it's okay. Like nothing really resonates with like who they are, but at the same time, nothing doesn't either. So like when you have these, and maybe I'm off, but when you have these seminars, like you must not only get women that are like rock bottom or way at the top and they're like, I know exactly. Like I think a lot of people just, they shake out in the middle.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, you can become numb to your life. Like, you're just like, oh, well, this is life.
Yeah, going through the motions.
And and that's a bummer too. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's no bueno.
Right.
And so, I mean, that alone in itself, being able to hopefully help in a way, to be someone to help wake up someone that might be living numb, or, you know, just kind of going through the motions. Because all of us, I mean, that can happen to all of us.
Right.
And
Easily,
so,
too.
Yeah.
Like, you can very easily, I think, just slowly kind of lose track of who you are.
Yeah, and I feel like it also happens with people that kind of are so like caught up in the rat race, and it's just like they're just kind of quickly going through the motions day in, day out. So they never have the opportunity to kind of step back and self-reflect and look at themselves and actually look at their values, or take that time away to where they can actually see what's important to them.
So do you have a process, or like a go-to, like if someone comes to you in a seminar or private coaching or whatever, and they're like, you know, kind of like what I just described, like, I'm not extremely unhappy, but I feel like there could be more for me, or, you know, because it seems like you've done a good job of really just going after the things that you want. Like, you want a company, you want to empower women. In third grade, you wanted to be a gymnastics coach, and you nailed it, right? So is there anything that you would like suggest or is there a go-to that you have to like help people kind of like find their true self?
I think just reminding them that, I mean, I know in coaching, like, even though it's just movement itself, a lot of times there's that hesitation, or I don't know, and especially with women, we want to get it right, and a lot of times it's maybe not believing in ourselves wholly and completely, and just having someone that is there to help remind you that everything you've got is already in there, no matter what it is, and you just have to figure out. I mean, it's about putting yourself into situations, forcing yourself into, you know, uncomfortable situations that you're like just stuff that is when you grow.
Yeah, I agree.
And so just constantly, I think that was a huge thing, because I was very, very shy when I was growing up, and I craved that I don't know, doing things that I think maybe just to surprise myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. In the same way, like, all of those things that you learn about yourself when you put yourself into situations that are uncomfortable or painful, or not that you would, I mean, you do CrossFit, so it was painful.
Yeah, we've all experienced this.
Yeah.
But it is very eye-opening, and something, you know, just, I don't think there's like any process that I would do. It's just constant encouragement, especially, and you kind of know, and you can kind of pick up on vibes, and when you get to know people that you're coaching too, like what do they need? Like, they need more encouragement, or they need extra support when they're, you know, wherever, whatever it is, or they need to be pushed, or you know, it just kind of depends. But usually the ones that are maybe a little nervous or unsure, I love that, because it's, you know, they are pushing themselves out of the comfort zone. And so and just doing something that does that, they're never going to be able to figure out what it is that kind of sparks that fire inside, until they're able to kind of live out of their comfort zone and know what.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's how you get there in the first place, in those like kind of miserable rat race situations, is when like you just make the comfortable choice over and over until everything is so comfortable that you haven't grown, and you are just as you're not uncomfortable and you're not comfortable.
I mean, I was there. I was in a, I don't know, this maybe needed to be edited out, I don't know, but
it's totally up to you.
I was in a relationship. I got into a relationship and was in a relationship for too long, and it was I just I knew I had made a choice, and so I just kind of accepted my choice. And just kind of was like, well, I got to deal with my choice. This is my choice. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And the longer I stayed, the less, or what am I trying to say? Like, the less I liked who I was becoming, and to deal with everything, it was like, I would have to not numb myself, but like you just, the pain and of the constant daily pain that you go through, it's like, so you just kind of start to turn your emotions off completely, and that's not who I am, because I am like really, I am a passionate person, and so that alone, I think it was like killing me inside, like it was like a death, and it was like, it's just like dying little by little, even though on the outside I was doing everything that I know is and was my purpose, but on the inside, like I was not being true to me, and or taking the time to make sure that I was staying completely 100% connected to myself.
Yeah.
By staying in that relationship. And that was hard, because I think a lot of people for sure are in, whether it's a relationship or whatever, job or something, I don't know, but just, like, oh man, it's like your entire life, like what big things have to happen for you to remove yourself from that, from whatever toxic situation that you're in. And if you don't, this is where you're going to continue, how your life is going to continue. And it's just, or you can remove yourself and you have no idea what's going to be happening. You got to start, obviously, like I started completely over. But, it's that, I think, the fear in, deciding on taking big steps in your life like that, when something is not right, having the courage to be able to take action and take power over your life, and not allow someone else's hands to kind of hold you captive, and or allow fear to hold you captive and hold you back, but kind of allow that fear to be what kind of pushes you into action.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyway.
Well, and people think, sometimes they think by doubling down or by going further in that it's going to change situation or make it better. Like relationships, but with what you do for a job, it's not really specific to relationships. It's just it's a easier example, but, people think by, like, sometimes by getting married, they're going to change the person or whatever. Right. So they like go further into this situation that there is already like
second guessing.
Yeah. I don't really know where I was going with that, but but yeah, I think but what I'm getting at is like it's not going to change. Like and yeah, sometimes there'll be something catastrophic that happens, and a lot of times there won't. Like you're just gonna live a miserable life, and that's like hard to say to people sometimes, and it's hard, but it's like someone's not gonna come rescue you from your situation. Like things aren't gonna change. Like sure, maybe it'll get really bad one day, and that'll be a catalyst, and you'll have that rock bottom moment. And there's also a really good chance that you're just going to march on into this awful life that you're like, this path that you're going down. And it sucks, but you just like, you have to, and it goes back to like being empowered. And I think fitness is a good way to start to do that for people to empower them, but you have to just change your situation. Like,
yeah, well, it definitely starts with you. I think the further you get down that hole, I think the more just knowing that you're not alone is super powerful.
Yeah.
And so, which is, when as a coach, just being more aware of stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's important too, is surrounding yourself with people that will like almost keep you accountable for who you really are, and and people that know like who you really want to be, and will keep you accountable and ask you the tough questions, and kind of help you make the right choice, even if it's the difficult choice.
Yeah, and then kind of the further on that you've been down that hole, you've invested so much into this job or relationship or whatever, even though deep down you're still not feeling like yourself and you might not be pleased with the situation, kind of what we were talking about earlier with Mike. You've got to not worry about what negatives are going to happen out of the situation. Like you're going to lose, I don't know, money if you're quitting a job or something like that, or you're going to lose this 401k,
or even disappoint people,
or maybe in a relationship, you're going to lose whatever. You've got to put that stuff aside and focus on what you can gain. What you can gain from making this decision. So I think that probably would help people.
Yeah, I know now, like, it was definitely like psychologically abusive relationship. That was, I think, very, very hard to figure out and
like come to terms with.
And other stuff, but it was because probably the most confusing time in my entire life. I've never been I questioned everything. I questioned who I was. I questioned what my purpose was, even though I have known so sure since of what my purpose was.
Right.
I'm like, what is life? What is happening? Who am I? No, but yeah, I mean, I guess that would be like a rock bottom moment in my own personal life for sure. But and then just kind of like what you were talking about, and then from that moment and then moving forward, I mean, it's been a long journey of just like everything that all of my heart and all of my soul and everything that I had poured into my life, that with the gym and all sorts of stuff, that I was just 100,000% invested in, and having to just let it go. Yeah. But knowing that and trusting, my heart, and knowing that I couldn't stay there any longer, knowing that, and then, but being terrified all at the same time and having no idea what is coming in what lies ahead, and just doing what I needed to do. Yeah. And then, but also, I guess, like, when you go through those things, and when I always tell my daughter is, she's been through stuff that I never would have wanted her to go through, but she is an amazing young lady who's strong and resilient and just awesome. And when you go through things in your life, they're happening for you. A lady that I've chatted with a few times, who's she's like, it's rather than go, why is this happening, like, this is happening for me, for whatever reason, but you're gonna grow from it. And then one thing I've always told my daughter is that this experience is hard right now, but you're going to be able to use it to help other people someday that are maybe not going through the same thing, but something similar, or whatever the lessons that you learn through this, and you can use that to help someone, encourage someone, empower someone.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's like, as a person, as a citizen, whatever you want to call it, like, I don't know, I think you have certain responsibility to like reach down and help somebody else. If you've been through that situation, if you've come out stronger, like, you almost owe it to, I don't know, humanity, whatever you want to call it, to like utilize that situation for the better. And the other thing is too, I think worth noting, is that it always gets better. like a lot of time people will stay in an unhappy situation because they like in their head or whatever it is. A lot of times people, at least this has been my experience, think that it's the best it's ever going to get. And like, that's never true. Like it always gets better. Like you're always going to be okay. And there's always going to be somebody else. And like, whether that's a job or like, it's like at the time, it seems like the hardest decision in the world. And you're like never going to have something else. But like the reality is that like, we just live in this fucking infinite universe. And so you're always going to have more. Like there's always going to be more people and more relationships. And in my experience, as long as you take what you've gone through and use it and learn from it, it always gets better. It's almost never the case that like, it's never the case that you're like, you leave a relationship and you're like, oh, unhappy forever now. Unless you manifest that. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's super cool because I've gone, that was my last relationship, it's when you ask yourself, okay, if everything that my job or where I live or everything was stripped away, who am I after all, if I didn't, whatever it is, material possessions or, your business or blah blah blah, like who are you deep down, and are you proud of who you are, or are you still gonna be okay with who you are? And so if you can honestly answer like, yes, I love myself, then,
without the things that define you,
all of those things,
Right,
then you're gonna be totally fine.
And if you're not, like if you're one of those people that's like, if you honestly ask yourself that and you're like, no, my whatever fill in the blank is my identity, might need to start making some changes.
Yeah, exactly. It's all coming back to that self-love and
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So this is the final question that we try to do, the Lionheart Kicker, for all of the episodes. If you could give advice and it was guaranteed that everybody in the world would hear it, they probably wouldn't all take it because that's humanity, but that you would give it and they would hear it, what advice would you give?
I would say to never let fear make you a slave.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So for people that are listening and want to get involved with what you're doing or support your journey and the things that you're doing, how can they do that?
They can, so I'm on Instagram, Nicole Zapoli.
Okay.
And my website is nicolezapoli.com.
Okay.
And email nicolezapoli@gmail.com.
That's easy enough.
Yeah, that's perfect. And we'll link all of that stuff up in the show notes for this episode.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Thanks so much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. Subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. For all of your supplement needs and for show notes, visit luavive.com.